Csak szóljál, amikor van valami, jelezzél, vagy ilyesmi, jó?
Te mondjad, mikor nyomni.
Mondjad már.
Utána várj egy picit.
Hello everybody, welcome to our second live Facebook. It's Thursday. I hope your week is going well. If you're on this Facebook Live, then most likely you know me. My name is Borbala Banto. I'm a CPA, founder and president of Concierge CPAs. I'm here in the office in our boardroom with my brother Les, and he's also a CPA, and we run the business together. Last year we did Facebook webinars, and it was a little hard to register for them, so we decided to do Facebook Lives this year. So this is our second one. The first one was a pretty big hit among our clients. So if you were on the call last week, then thank you, and thank you for joining again. A couple of housekeeping items. This call runs between 30 and 45 minutes, and clients of ours emailed us questions the last few days, so I just printed them out and we're answering these questions on the live call. If you have something that you would like to ask me, anything about business, marketing, taxes, accounting, employees, understanding your numbers, please leave your question in the comments, or you can email me, borbala@conciergecpas.com. Other housekeeping items, it's tax season. IRS is still shut down. If you are one of our clients, then we were busy mailing these green envelopes out a couple of days ago, so look out for it in the mail. It consists of a couple of items. It is some information about how to make the appointment, how to get your tax documents to us, a tax document checklist, an envelope that you can use to mail your stuff back to us. Most of our clients use our secure portal to upload their information to our server, or they have access to a shared Dropbox folder, so they use that. But we still have a good number of clients where they don't even want to deal with anything, and they just shove their W-2s, unopened envelopes of 1099s and all tax documents into this envelope and then just mail it to us. So if that's you, that's perfectly fine. We are going to scan them and give them back to you, because we don't keep any paper. We are most of the time paperless and virtual. And also we sent everybody a couple of these calendars for 2019. If you have a spouse, hopefully you're getting two, and also these pens that people really like, and it has a light, it's also stylus, and it's a really cool blue color, so I really like them myself. So look out for this in the mail. We also sent out an email saying that please make your appointments early. We are looking forward to a very busy tax season with all the tax changes, so go on my online calendar and make your appointments early. Usually weekend and evening appointments fill out fast. So if you want to see us, just make an appointment early. That being said, we always remind people that we are, how somebody wrote about us, we are not your father's CPA. If there's any way we can serve you better, please let us know. Usually, we are told that people are looking in their CPAs for lower personal taxes and a way to understand their numbers better. So we are here to support you in both of those matters. First question that came to us is, actually it's on online, it's a URL, it says collegeadvantage.com. Is this an option for us? On the individual side, it looks like we can write off $4,000 as well as contribute a significant amount to the account each year. So this particular client actually does have a business and was wondering if she can contribute to her employee's College Advantage plan and 529 plan also, it's called. Now the answer to that is that employers cannot contribute to the 529. Employers can have a plan when they reimburse their employees up to, I believe it's like $5,000 a year tuition, actual tuition. So if the employee goes to school on the side, then they can reimburse those fees, but not actually contributing to 529. But the write-off is correct. Now, it's only on the state tax return side. The IRS does not give you any write-off for contributing to a College Advantage 529 plan. So check your state's rules. Ohio does allow up to $2,000 per tax return. So again, it's not a big deduction. Ohio's tax rates have been climbing down in the last 5-6 years consistently. So that's not a big savings, but all the growth that happens in the 529 plan from when you contribute to when it's used, all that growth in the account, in the brokerage account, is tax-free. So when you take it out, you're not going to pay tax on any of that. So that's why, especially if you have very small kids, it's a very good idea. You can have grandparents contribute, in lieu of Christmas gifts or birthday gifts. You can have uncles, godparents contribute. So actually, it's still a very good idea. But as far as IRS tax savings, actually, it's not a vehicle. Next question. And this was something when I read it out loud, or when I heard it first, I was just laughing. So this lady says, my banker asked me if I'm an S Corp or a C Corp. I filed as an LLC, so what am I? And just her questions of like being totally, clueless while at the bank, and just, it was something that I thought nobody should be in the situation. She should not have been in the situation. She should have been informed by a former CPA or whoever formed her LLC what's going on. So the short answer to that question is, if you are an LLC and you're a single member, just one owner of the LLC, you're taxed as a pass-through, as a Schedule C pass-through entity. You do not even have a standalone tax return unless you file an election with the IRS to be taxed as an S Corp. Then you're taxed as a Schedule C. You would know. Hopefully you would know if somebody would have filed, or you would have filed an S election for you. As C Corp, you cannot be a C Corp when you're an LLC. So either you're a limited liability company or you're a corporation. So you are able to elect S Corp election. And I'm not going to go into it, what does it mean, but it's just a tax election. So your name still ends with LLC. You're still a limited liability company. Your name doesn't change. It's only a tax election. It just means that you file a separate tax return. You're filing a separate business 1120S. And there are a good number of rules that you have to follow. Now, why would anybody want that? That's a question for a different day. If you are one of our tax planning clients, then we go through this, and we have citations and tell you how you can save money with the next election, but also what comes with it on the side. One of the biggest issues when we have new clients coming to us, they think that they hear all these people, other people, right, saving taxes in different creative ways, but they don't know actually that, or they don't want to consider that when you have the option and you implement a strategy to save taxes, it always comes with something. It's never like, oh, I just have to put a number in a different row. There's always something that you have to do. So you have to implement a strategy. In a lot of cases, even close friends of mine, we decided not to implement a tax strategy because what it came with, it was not for them. They couldn't do. S election comes with you having a W-2. I had a close friend of mine in the business. She said, Borbala, I don't want to deal with the payroll side. I don't have any other employees. I just don't want to deal with payroll taxes. I'm not good. My cash flow is not good. I'm just not going to have a W-2. So she decided of not saving, $5,000-$6,000 a year in taxes because it was just not for her. So keep out for that. So if you do file for an LLC and you're the single member, we call the LLC owners members, not shareholders. So if you're a single member LLC, you are taxed as a Schedule C, which is just one page on your personal tax return, attached to it. So you never have a separate tax return for the business. Now, if you go into the bank and ask for a business loan and they ask for your business tax return, you have to show everything. You have to show your personal, your husband's W-2. You have to show everything. Now, that's another reason why some serious businesses elect to be an S corp. They just don't want to show their all the personal stuff. You know, like we work with clients where the husband is, a doctor, a chair of a department and has, a $650,000 W-2. You don't necessarily want to let the bank know, what's going on your personal side. Second question, also about tuition. She says, we discussed paying tuition for an employee as a benefit. Is this still a good option? So, along the same answers, it is a good option to have a plan, but actually it's a legal document. So you cannot just reimburse somebody for tuition in lieu of paying them. You do have to have like a plan, a reimbursed, accountable reimbursed plan in the company. And every employee has to know about it. So you cannot just reimburse one and then not the other one. You have to have this, just like how health insurance or retirement accounts work. Has to be applicable to it's applicable to everybody across the board. So all the employees have to know about it, and you do have to reimburse if it's like a certain percentage, everybody. Now, there are always certain exclusions that you have to make. So usually I tell people, either if you have an HR department or an HR consultant, or you have a business lawyers, they can help you putting together these plans, and then you can start giving people checks for reimbursement. Hi, Borbala. My husband went to a meeting about putting our assets into a trust. Is that something you can handle? This was another one where I said, this is just such a big answer. It's such a long answer. A lot of people go to one of these seminars where they teach you how you can save money in your retirement, if to be Medicaid eligible or some other eligibility. If you don't have anything under your own personal name, but you do have everything, you keep everything in a trust. Now, I would consider it very dangerous to just go and form a trust by yourself without a local state lawyer. If these seminar people come from out of state, and mostly they are, they can even give you a sample trust that might not be what you need in Ohio. It might look as good, as okay, and it might serve you for a while, but then there could be some instances where it's not going to hold up in court. So the short answer is I cannot handle a trust. Now, I can handle trust tax returns, right, and administration of the trust. We're also sometimes the trustees, co-trustees of trust as CPAs. But as far as setting up the trust, I can recommend, this client of mine, some very good elder care or probate lawyers, that can set these up. It is a very good option for certain people. So as most of the questions, that people ask lawyers and CPAs, the answer is it depends. Again, I would caution everybody against having any type of legal document from LegalZoom, from RocketMatter.com, sample that somebody gave you, because again, that's why people go to law school and have licenses. We might just miss something, or the internet might miss something, usually a couple of things that will cost you a lot down the road. I cannot tell you how many, just like with every profession, people come to us when something goes wrong. So most of our clients are attorneys, law firms. We see their cases, and people sometimes are, hundreds of thousands of dollars, short, behind, because some legal matter when they did not follow their lawyer's advice. So if you want to do yourself a favor and just, if it comes about contracts, legal issues, get a good lawyer who is really knowledgeable about the situation, and that's, their niche is what you want to do. I just talked to a client of mine this week, and she's opening a restaurant, and she might want to partner, or somebody wants to partner with her, and I said, that would be like the best thing for you. Just find a business lawyer. If you need one, let us know and we can recommend one. that is on your side and just can defend your interests. It's very important. Otherwise, it could cost you literally your business, your house, later on. Good morning, Borbala. I would like your professional expertise. I've been working for an accountant doing her client's bookkeeping, and some of her practices I do not agree with. So this particular friend of mine, actually she's not a client, she's a friend of mine. She's a VA. She's a virtual assistant and helps a lot of businesses with admin stuff, and also helps this particular accountant with bookkeeping. I would like to have a conversation with you, if your time permits, regarding the proper ethics of the accountant-bookkeeper relationship, because this is the first time I have done this. Let me know your availability. So actually, I did talk to this friend of mine, this VA, since she sent me this email. And what we found out is, and why I'm bringing it up, is you might be working with one of these bookkeepers / accountants. She started helping this accountant. She does business bookkeeping for small businesses in the area. And so my friend said, she just does weird things. I don't think she, the owner of the business, instructed the VA to do different things that she was not comfortable with. So the problem is, and this is an issue that we found actually last year, it was really prevalent, that small businesses who hire an outside bookkeeper who's not a CPA, does not belong to a CPA firm, just a bookkeeper, which, there's a place and a time for that. There's nobody there to supervise this bookkeeper. The owner of the business doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know if the financials the bookkeeper gives her are correct or not. They don't know how to double check if all the accounts were reconciled. Last year in tax season, somebody came to us with terrible financials, and I said, this I cannot do the tax return based on this. This is really bad. And she said, but Borbala, I hired this girl and she reconciled everything. She told me. And I said, okay, where did you find this girl? Like, I don't know, just like a girl. And I said, who supervised her? Who told you that the reconciliation is good? And she just kept telling me, and I felt for her when she said, but Borbala, she told me she reconciled everything. And this particular business had like 15 credit cards and 15 bank accounts. So it was like a big project. So I had to tell her, I'm sorry to tell you, you have to start from scratch. And this is tax season. So this is going to be really like a big job, big project. So if you are in the situation that you do have an outside bookkeeper, or even if you have an inside bookkeeper like an office manager, you do have to have somebody to supervise, at least quarterly. Have your tax CPA come in and ask them, can you just supervise what she's doing? Can you serve as somebody that my bookkeeper can call if they have a questions? Because it's so much easier to correct one problem, in January versus her having to do the same thing, throughout the whole year. So that's at the end, my friend, the VA, decided not to work with this accountant anymore, and it just breaks my heart that there are people like this in my profession. So hopefully this accountant was not a CPA, but yeah, you really have to choose who you work with. Look at their references, what niche they are in. You can look at, it's a public service, it's a free information on the Secretary of State website about licenses, were there any lawsuits against this person, and just ask them, that's why I like working in a firm, basically, because anything can happen to me, hopefully not, but, I have team members who can, still be there. There's no way, other than a tornado hitting, Ohio, hopefully not, that everybody in the firm will be unavailable at the same time. So we have people not just to double check each other, not just to serve as sounding boards, but we do have strict, continuing education classes. Actually, tomorrow we're going to have one from 9 to 12. A webinar from the local RITA, Regional Income Tax Agency, 3-hour seminar, and the whole firm is going to just be there watching just the news. I mean, they're not going to say anything we didn't know, but just, any updates. So look out for somebody who's a professional, especially if you're considering your little company a serious business. It could be small, but what I've seen in the last 10 years, when people are starting out really taking their business seriously, they're not going to ask their sister, like, can you just do my bookkeeping, if that's not their profession, right? They're going to take it seriously from the get-go. When I started my business and people said, put together the processes, the procedures early on when you still have time, I was thinking, I'm so small. Let's say, I'm by myself, or, I'm working with my brother, like, we know what's going on. I'm concentrating on marketing and sales. And then a couple of years later, when we started adding team members, was when I realized, oh yeah, that was a good advice. I wish I would have done that. Just recently we realized that even so we have so many of these processes and procedures written down, we are still lacking and we still have to add more. Now, why am I bringing this up? Getting a good financial base foundation for your company is also so much easier when you're small. Learning QuickBooks, getting together this rhythm of you seeing your CPA and just learning about the numbers, about the financial is so much better when you are a 10, 20, 50, $100,000 business versus you're growing your $1 million business. You have no idea where your numbers are. You're not making any profit. You don't know where all the money goes. And now you're going to a CPA and it's like, can you figure this out? I've been working 2 years and I cannot take anything home, or I'm not sure where everything is. So there are good best practices, and one of them is this. Okay, question about home values. Hi, Borbala. When the county is proposing to raise my new home market value up, but it's significantly higher than what I paid for the house, how does that impact my taxes? It is better to have a higher county market value than actual appraisal. Does the higher value increase my taxes? It is better to send the appraisal report to lower my taxes. Is there a negative impact for having a lower county market value? I have the chance to contest the market value, but want to make sure I do this right. So this young client of ours just got married, so we were very happy when they bought a home, and this comes up a lot of times. Now, short answer to this, no, the county valuation on the county website does not affect the market value of your taxes of your house. Also, it will affect your property taxes, right? So we are not talking about income taxes here, but it will affect your property taxes because they are calculated as a percentage of the assessed value. So if she does have, so what I told her, if she does have a way to contest the market value, let's say she just bought it, so that's like a current market value, should be a current transfer price should be a good value. So if that's what's going on, she should contest it. It does not mean that when she sells it, somebody's going to say, oh, I'm not going to pay this much because your appraised value is lower. So it really doesn't have anything to do with how much you can sell it. But as far as taxes, property taxes, you pay, yes. And of course, it doesn't have to do anything with income taxes. And on that note, just a reminder, if you live in your house, and a lot of people are doing this or have been doing this, that they buy a house that is like a flip, type of house, and they live in it for 2-3 years, and they slowly update it, and then they sell it. Right? Is it 3 years? It's 2 years. So you have to live in it 2 years out of the last 5. Then even if you sell it at a gain, you're not gonna pay any income tax on it, or no type of tax, like Social Security, Medicare, any type. So I do know people who, with their kids, they just move into this house, 3 years, they renovate it, and they sell it for double, and then just all that money, they can put in the next house. So if that's you, this is a good way if you're handy, to do this. But most likely, in that case, you already know this rule. But also on the flip side, if you sell the house for less than what you bought it for, there is no tax deduction or anything on it either. Hi, Borbala. Now that we've moved into our new house, we are planning on renting out our old one. With that being said, can we put deposits and withdrawals for that house into the same account that is used for the other rental? I'd prefer to limit the number of accounts we open. So congratulations to this client of ours too. They bought a beautiful home in California. So they already have a rental. Now they're going to use their old house as a rental. So his question is, I already have a separate account for my one rental. Now, can I just, put all my rental income and expenses? And my answer was that yes. I mean, you can. Now, if this person or like anybody would say, I have 10 rentals and they're different LLCs, different business units, I would say, let's reconsider that. But with 2 rentals, obviously, doing the accounting, and that's what we are doing for them, the accounting for these rental properties is still going to be 2 separate units on the tax return. It's Schedule E. So we still have to have all the rental income and all the expenses, including depreciation, separately for the 2 houses. But as far as using one checking account, again, it's fine. Okay, a couple of more questions. Hi, Borbala. We were asked to complete a W-9 so the school district can pay us for the training we are going to hold. So that's very basic, especially this time of year. People that paid you last year, if they didn't ask you for a W-9 last year, then now hurrying up and ask you for one, and they're gonna issue the 1099 based on the W-9. So the W-9 is basically just your legal way of telling your contractor, like, this is my name, this is my social, or EIN, or my company name and EIN, and here I signed that this is true information. So you shouldn't just call them and say, can you give me a 1099 and this is my social. You have to provide this information on a W-9. And also what she said, this is what I really liked. She said, I think we would love to transfer all our tax services over to you for this next year, if you are willing to take on the challenge. I cannot deal with our other guy anymore. Maybe we can set up a time to meet or go through your process. So that was actually the nice ending to the email. So these were the 2 ladies who said that they went to their previous tax CPA for 10 years, and every year they started a business together, these 2 friends, and they went to the tax CPA who prepared their personal and the business tax return. They sat down and they had a list of questions. And again, these are highly educated 2 young ladies. I mean, they have master's degrees and stuff, so they're highly educated. And they had some list of questions, and they asked them from the CPA, and he would answer with one word answers, and really not tell them a lot about what's going on. And then so they said, we just cannot deal with this anymore. And maybe now they're finding that I'm just talking too much, and that's going to be too much. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Said, hi, Borbala. How are you? Good, I hope. I still have not heard from IRS with the correct paperwork you asked them for. Should I be worried? Have a nice weekend. So this particular lady, we set up a payment plan with the IRS, and I talked to the IRS in behalf of her. We do that a lot. And the IRS said that they're going to send us some paperwork acknowledging the new payment plan, right? Let's say $100 a month. And then the shutdown happened. So with the shutdown, the IRS right now is not working. The essential personnel that works with the new tax season, according to what they said, is working, and the filing season is going to start on the 28th next week. But as far as the phones, there's no CPA hotline that usually we have, or no customer service. Now this is the interesting part, there are some notices coming out. So collections notices, the computers are so systematized that they're just spitting out notices and collection letters, and they're mailing themselves. I mean, that's the easiest way I can describe it. But there's no live person doing them. So a lot of my clients are getting still these notices, and it's oh, what's going on? I said, I sent an answer a couple of weeks ago, but there's nobody to open my envelope and process that answer. It's just sitting there. And the same way, this lady is waiting for her paperwork for acknowledgement of the payment plan, but they're she cannot get them, and I cannot get it. So it's very frustrating, and we're really, really hoping that it's gonna be done soon. So everybody's is waiting for that. mostly for people who are not getting a paychecks, unfortunately. That's the biggest thing. So, quick question. If I paid my 2017 taxes late, do I have to pay a penalty or just the interest? I guess I didn't understand that, and thought the interest was the penalty. So it's kind of a double whammy. So we get this a lot, especially new clients. Our clients that are with us, year after year, now they are like, we don't let them pay stuff late, or if there is anything we can do about it. But sometimes people come to us in the summer and they have to file the tax return for the previous year, and they end up owing, right? And they didn't even know about it. So this was the case here. We finally filed like July, August. Tax return showed the tax due. We filed the tax return. Client pays the tax via a voucher or online. And then they get a notice saying, you just owe this much. And of course, they don't go into the detail. But what's going on is that, let's say it's about like $3,000. That $3,000 was due April 15th. So now you're filing late, you're paying late. So IRS is going to go back to April and recalculate the interest and the penalties from April. Now, a lot of cases, if this amount is high and you were supposed to pay estimated taxes, quarterly estimated taxes the year before, they're adding another penalty on top of it, which is the penalty for not paying estimated taxes and interest. So it could be double whammy. It could be triple whammy, actually. It could be a lot of things, and there are two types of people that we see. One is like, a couple of $100, whatever. I mean, I didn't have the money back in April or last year to pay the estimates. It's fine. And there's another kind where they do not want to pay one single dollar extra. Like if they would get $20 interest or penalty, they would go nuts. Like, why did I have that? So we are very sensitive about I never want anybody to like overpay their taxes in estimates just not to have a tax due in April or just get this huge refund. But there are things to consider, like the what's the word I'm looking for, Laz? The safe harbor estimates. So what is the safe harbor? So if you owe this much up until this much in April, you don't have to pay any penalties for not paying estimates. So it's just a lot of things that if you keep in touch with your CPA and you know what's going on, it's a group effort, and it's I would say quarterly at least. There we have clients where it's a monthly thing during the year of calculating taxes. We already started running 2019 projections. So if you believe it or not, it was 2 days ago, we got the first letters like, what if my income goes down this much this year? What am I looking for 2019 taxes? So we say, okay, give me your husband's pay stub. Let me project out his 2019 W-2. Give me then your new estimated income from the business that you have. Let me see if the expenses maybe are still going to be the same. What are we looking at your profit, and putting this into a 2019 tax projections to see, what's going on. So some people didn't even get their 2018 W-2s, and we're already talking about 2019 tax projections. Okay, couple of more questions. Oh, okay, this is a short one. It says, we received the attached IRS notice. It says we owe $17,459 plus failure to pay an interest. I'm confused because we actually did pay the $17,459, which is the amount you guys gave us, payment voucher. Please help clear this up for us. Thanks. So what we found out, and this could help a good number of listeners if they're in the situation. So you file your tax return. Maybe your husband is the first on the tax return, right? Wife is the second, but the wife handles the money. So if they have to pay, the wife would be the one to write the check together with the voucher and mail it to the IRS. Or what a good number, I would say 75% of our clients do this year or the last couple of years, is they make a payment on the irs.gov website. So there's a payment tab there. It's very easy. You don't need a login. You just need to say, what was the taxpayer's name, social security, date of birth, where did you live last year, how much do you owe, and how do you want to pay it, so your bank account info, and you just enter what year should this apply to. So this particular wife, like a good wife, went on the IRS website, put in her name, her social, address, paid the money, right? More than $17,000. So the IRS computer says, okay, I don't have her as the first on the tax return, and I only have the first name and social security tying payments to. So that payment was just floating in there somewhere, and their account still showed not paid. So until we called and try to link these two, and so since then this happened, I tell everybody, all the wives, when you make a payment, if you're not on the first of the on the tax return, please make sure you put your husband's name and social. Just make yourself a favor and do yourself a favor and just do that. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of phone calls to the IRS before they can clear that. But it's at the end they can find it. It's just just calling and waiting online for a couple of hours. Nobody wants that. This is another IRS issue. IRS or any other tax authority. Actually, this one is about New Jersey, but IRS does the same thing. So it says, "Hi Borbala, I hope all is great. Today I got a notice from New Jersey suggesting that I didn't file certain employer returns. I didn't have any employees until January 15 of. So I assume this is a mistake, but I wanted to take your take on this, to get your take on this. Think you or I should give them a call." So the notice says, you didn't file some payroll tax return for 15, like January, first quarter of 15. And we look at the information. I said, this person didn't even start payroll. Maybe the business didn't even exist, or they did existed, but they didn't have any payroll till like a year later. This is very common. The IRS sends these out all the time. And we have to respond, no, I know that we started having employees fourth quarter of 16, but we did not have any employees before. So why are you sending me this notice? So again, this is something where we might spend an hour, right? Like a good accountant's hour, billable hour on this, and it's nobody's fault. It's not the business's fault. It's not our fault, but somebody has to respond to it. So when you start a business, you really have to think about all these things that you need your CPA for, because otherwise it's just, yeah. And if you don't respond, then it's another issue, because then they can assess some penalties for not filing, and even if they don't see that you have any tax to pay, but for not filing the form, there's an extra penalty. So there's always penalty for not filing and not paying, and then there are interests. Hi Borbala, I'm starting a new business and would like to have a consultation if possible. Yes, so it will always, so of course I'm willing to pay for your services. Let me know if you're interested. Of course, one of the biggest joys is when somebody comes in and they tell me about their goals, so their dreams, their plans to open a new business. And we have a good number of, like, couple of them every week, these consultations. And just like how, I guess, an architect, before somebody comes in and says, like, I want to build a house, it's such a joy and such a creative time where you can just plan out what they need, what are the best practices for this time and then later. So we're always looking out for just having our input. Maybe I can tell them, I've seen this, somebody did this, maybe you want to consider this and that. So it's just a very creative, very like a time that I really enjoy doing. And of course, everything starts, when it comes to financials, everything starts with, what do you want? How big do you want to grow this company? And I remember when my mentor asked me that question, like, how big you want to grow this firm? And a couple of years ago, I would have said, like, I have no idea, just a little bit more than last year. But now I realize that it is a valid question, and you really have to know. Sometimes you don't know, and that's why I think everybody should have their business, because it just teaches you so much about yourself. Like, do I really want to have a $10 million company, or I just want a $1 million company? Do I want to have 50 employees or multiple locations, or just a couple of them? And what works for me right now for this season of my life? So the same thing with our clients. It's a great creative opportunity to see, okay, if you really think that you want to grow this $2 million the first year, now you better set yourself up on all these things right now, otherwise you're gonna crash and burn. If you think this is like a side hobby type of things, I talked to somebody yesterday and she said she started out her business as making $200 extra a month to put into the household budget. So that's different thing, that different level of services that they need from the CPA or a lawyer or a business advisor, versus if somebody says, we're gonna make this $1 million company the first year, and did have clients where it's like first year it's $1 million, sales. So just have to know. Last question. I think that's gonna be okay because we have to go actually downtown for a meeting, first meeting, official meeting where we're gonna present the Hungarian American Chamber of Commerce. So it's very exciting. Les and I are going there. So the last question, actually this is not a question. It says, Borbalo, thank you for your expertise and patience with us. I feel 150% better after just one meeting with you. We appreciate it so much. I mean, we appreciate all of you and all of your clients who are on this call, and also anybody who's reaching out to us. We understand it's a privilege to know basically everything about a person. Most of the things that people who come in here that they share with us, a lot of times they do not share it with their spouse. Most of the time they do not share it with anybody outside their spouse and a bigger family. So it's a big responsibility. That's why sometimes we say that we are like basically financial therapists. That's why we have the tissues here and the medicine cabinet, and it is a big responsibility, but also it's a joy. It is something that we really like to do. And so if any of you have any issues, feel free to make an appointment on our online calendar. The link is on the website. We take it very seriously as far as being not judgmental, being totally discretionary, and also giving our best take on it, not just being like a yes man, but also listening, taking in your situation and getting the best results the fastest. So with that, see you next Thursday, still 5 o'clock. In February, we're going to change it to 6 o'clock, we think, but 5 o'clock Eastern next week. So see you, everybody. Have a good night and a good weekend. Stay safe. Kikapcsoltam?